last night's episode, huh? I don't know how many of you have seen it yet. The only thing I can say about it straight off the bat before I start spoiling anything is that it was so freaking intense. It was crazy. I mean, there have been a lot of intense episodes so far this season, but this one was just, it was up there. Like, really up there. So much happened. And I'm going to attempt to do this recap coherently, but I was just so... I was so excited about this episode, and just, it was non-stop action that I don't know how coherent I'm going to be. So I'm going to try and talk like a normal human, but if I don't come off as, coherent, I apologize. Alright, so I'm just going to start spoiling it right off the bat, so if you don't want it to be ruined, I suggest you turn this video off and leave now, because we're just going to jump right into it, and it's going to be fabulous, and, so much to talk about. So if you don't want it to be ruined, just, turn this video off now, go watch the episode, come back, we'll talk about it, and it's gonna be great. You're gonna love it. Alright, bye! So the episode opens up with Stiles and Derek in the elevator, and Derek is still unconscious at this point, so Stiles is just slapping him around, just trying to wake him up. And when he finally does wake up, he has to drop the bomb that Jennifer took Mrs. McCall and Scott during Deucalion. Okay, so Isaac is in the car with Peter and Cora, and Peter sees the Argents outside and decides it'd be a good time to split. So he takes off. Derek shows up, and he has to tell everybody what's going on with the Duroc and Deucalion and Scott, and nevertheless, Allison doesn't look very happy about that. Obviously. Okay, so this FBI agent shows up and starts questioning Stiles about everything that's going on and about his missing dad, and even insinuates that Daddy Stilinski's drinking again. But of course, Stiles doesn't take that shit and stands up for his dad. And then this agent dude says, then what's up with the name written on the elevator? Cut to the elevator, what's on the door? Argent. We come back from commercial break, and we're at Derek's loft, and Cora is not looking too good. At all. She's in the process of dying, and, Isaac just completely loses his shit, and he starts yelling at Derek, and he's saying, oh my god, he's just saying all this crazy stuff, like, while Scott and Stiles are out trying to figure out how to save people, Derek's been here rolling around with his murderer this whole time, and people are dying. And he even brings up Erica and Boyd, and saying, your sister's dying too, and what are you doing? Nothing. And then Isaac goes to leave and says, you know what, I'm going to do what I can to help, and you can just stay here and do what you do best. Nothing. So much craziness. Now, the Argents and Stiles are actually together at this point, and they're trying to figure out what the Duroc's next move is going to be so they can go after her. But then Stiles starts getting all concerned and says, well, what if the Duroc tries to take you? I mean, she took Stiles' dad, she took Scott's mom, so what if she tries to take Daddy Argent? And then Daddy Argent turns into this classy motherfucker and pulls out a .45 and says, this is what'll happen. I love this man. I love this man so much. Now, the Argents and Stiles are trying to figure out where the Duroc could possibly be keeping their parents, and Stiles actually kind of tells, Mr. Argent, Lydia is a little weird, and she attracts the supernatural, so they decide, why not use her? Now, back at Derek's place, Cora is obviously still dying. That hasn't changed. And Derek is trying to take her pain away, and it looks like he takes a little too much, so Peter cuts in and says, whoa, 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 you gotta be careful about that. And Derek's like, yeah, I know, too much of it could kill me. But Peter's like, that's not really what I was. Back at the Argent's place, they're all getting suited up like the freaking X-Men. It's pretty awesome, and Stiles is like, I thought you guys were retired. And he's like, retired, yes. Defenseless, no. And then Isaac shows up and is like, well, I can't use the gun or the bow, but I'm getting pretty good at these. He is. I mean, yeah. and his clothing choices are getting a lot better too. You know you're
now
the same
Peter
thing.
is trying to help out and be gentle as is his way, and says that sometimes comforting can help with the healing process, as well as doing the touching thing where Derek takes some of Cora's pain away. But if, he succeeds in saving her, it could possibly kill him. We don't want that. We don't want Derek to die. But then Peter says something else could happen, but he doesn't tell us what. So we get this really nice scene with Lydia and her mom, which just because we don't get to see Lydia with her parents too much, and I always got the opinion that her mom was kind of a bitch, actually. So it was really, really nice to see them kind of just bonding, just being, open with each other. So I thought that was really, really great. Oh my god, this is where shit goes down.
Oh, crazy, crazy. Okay, so the Argents and Isaac go to that bank vault where Deaton was actually held hostage. And, they're looking for things. And then Isaac is like, well, isn't that electric thing, poker thing? Don't you only use that on werewolves? And Daddy Argent's like, you know what? Yeah. Zaps Isaac. What the fuck? And then he handcuffs Allison to the wall and says, I have to do this. And then he drops his gun and lets the freaking Duroc take him. What? No! No! So Isaac manages to get loose, and he goes to get Allison loose, which I don't know why we'd want to, because I'm not the biggest Allison fan. And she gets all emotional, and they have a moment and bond over the fact that her dad could potentially die. And then they hug. I don't support this ship. I don't want those two together. No. Apparently, if Derek heals Cora enough, he will eventually lose his alpha status. And Peter, being the helpful asshole that he is, tries to talk him out of it and says this could just be part of the Duroc's plan. And how are you going to fight the alphas if you're a beta? And Derek says, screw you. I want to save my sister. I don't care about the power. So I think he's going to do it. Oh my god, this is where I really start to lose it. Styles and Lydia get a text from Isaac who tells them that Daddy Argent has been taken. And then Styles starts panicking. Oh my god, I just wanted to cry. Oh my god. Ugh. Daddy Argent wakes up and he's in the root cellar with the Mrs. McCall and Daddy Stilinski. And then who walks in but the Duroc herself? And she tries to be all sweet and nice and says, oh, let me wipe down your sexy, sexy wounds. I'm really starting to hate this bitch. As if I didn't hate her enough before. I really
Oh my god,
hate
my
her.
favorite scene.
Styles is still panicking. And as someone who's had frequent panic attacks myself, just for a very long time, I can say with certain that is very, very realistic. And to help him stop, what does Lydia do? But she kisses him! Okay. I've contained myself now. So they go to see the guidance counselor, Miss Morale, and she's not there. She's missing. But what they do find is the exact same tree drawing that Lydia's been doing. But lo and behold, you turn it upside down, and it's the fucking tree roots. It's that Nemeton thing, which, by the way, that name sounds like a freaking Transformer. Okay, that FBI agent that was at the beginning of the episode, he shows up at school and decides to harass Styles again. Now, Styles, being the calm and collected person that he is, decides to bullshit him. And finally, this agent says, you know what, whatever, you can go. But he says you're not allowed to go unless you're with an adult. And since your daddy's not there, I don't know what's going to happen. But who shows up? Who? Deaton. Lydia goes to Derek's apartment, and who opens the door? Peter. Now, I've been waiting for these two to have a freaking face-to-face confrontation for a very long time. And it just equaled awkward. It was so fantastic. So we catch up with Deaton's sister, and she's running through the woods, and she's being chased by the twins, who for once actually have clothing on. which I'm kind of disappointed about, but you know what? It's a nice change of pace.
Deucalion and Scott finally show up in the episode, and they're talking, and Scott actually asks Deucalion, "Are you afraid of the Duroc?" And he says, "I'm not scared, I'm concerned." I would be too if there were dead bodies piling up everywhere. Dean's sister is still running through the woods and being chased by the twins, but she stops in this clearing and she throws up this circle of mountain ash. So they can't get to her. But then Toes shows up and the three of them surround this circle. So Scott and Deucalion finally show up at the circle, and Morale says to the rest of the pack that Deucalion was actually the one who killed Ennis, and he only did it so Kali would go after Derek, get Derek in his pack, so it would pave the way for Scott to join. So Deucalion gets pissed off and decides to go all caveman on her ass, and he throws his freaking cane at her and stabs her in the fucking shoulder. She steps outside the circle. Scott goes and says he won't let anything happen to her. And she tells him, in order to find Jennifer, you gotta find the Nematron. So back in the root cellar, Daddy Stilinski starts talking about how he never really believed in the whole supernatural thing. And then we get this really great monologue from him about the night his wife died and how that was the night he could have first started believing in the supernatural. And it was just such a good emotional scene, and I wanted to cry because we never hear anything really about Styles' mom, and it's so sad, and he sounded so just heartbroken over it. And I just, back at the veterinary clinic, Styles, Deaton, Isaac, and Allison are plotting to figure out a way how to find this tree root, right? And Deaton says, well, we might be able to find it, but we kind of need Scott, and it's gonna be dangerous. Deaton, Scott's a little busy right now saving your sister. Deaton and Styles go to see Scott, and how they find him, I don't know, but that's not the point. And Deaton tells Scott that they can find the tree root and save their parents, but Styles, Scott, and Alice need to act as surrogate sacrifices for their parents. Deaton says he can bring them back, but doing this is going to power this Nematron, and it's going to attract more supernaturals to the area, so that's not good. But he also said that in doing this, it's going to darken their hearts, and, you know, that's just going to be a permanent thing. But obviously they're going to do it because they got to save their parents. I mean, these kids cannot be trusted to be by themselves. They need adult supervision. So the gang goes to Deaton's office and they decide they're going to do the tubs of ice to kill them. Now, they're all getting ready to be pushed under, and they take with them like some sort of emotional tie to their parents. So Scott has a watch, Styles has his dad's badge, and Allison has a silver bullet. And right before they're being put under, Styles drops the bomb to Scott. Hey, by the way, if I don't make it out alive, but you do, your dad's in town. You know who his dad is? Do you? It's that fucking FBI agent. What? So it's the end of the episode, and one of the last two scenes that we see is Peter and Derek at the loft, and Derek is taking Cora's pain away, and Peter's watching on, and just before the scene cuts out, Derek's face, turns towards the ceiling, and his eyes go from red back to blue. So he's no longer an alpha, so I don't know what's going to happen with this, but I have to say, I don't mind too much. I kind of like the blue. I really do. The very last scene of the episode is Allison, Scott, and Styles being pushed down into their tubs of ice. Absolute last sight that we see is Scott's eyes, bright yellow, fade to black. Really? You end it like that. Alright, so that's it for the recap of this week's Teen Wolf. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you come back next week because it's going to be an extra special episode of Teen Wolf because it's the finale. Oh my god. And then we won't have any others until January, so this is going to be such a climax. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Come back next week and we're going to have just as much fun. Let's all freak out together. Bye.